Hey everybody, my name is Jordan. I've owned an accounting firm called Find a Good Accountant for over 6 years. And what I do is help businesses like Gil's here go from ground zero to making their first $1 million. Gil is starting a donut slash coffee slash food place, and he's a serial entrepreneur. So I'm pretty confident this one's going to be successful, but I'm going to help him do whatever he can to make it happen. But Gil, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, thanks again for having me, Jordan. And as you mentioned, we're opening up Painted Dough, Coachella Valley. Not just your donuts, coffee, breakfast, burritos, teas. We're bringing Painted Dough movement, the love, quality, and kindness. We're bringing it to the Coachella Valley. And we look forward to having you in one of our many shops here coming soon.
All right, Gil, you're a serial entrepreneur and you've invested a lot into real estate. So, what is one tip you'd give to someone that's aspiring to buy real estate?
Do it. I feel like there's not a better investment than real estate. And I hear a lot of times people talk about, oh, I'm going to wait till the market goes down. I'm going to wait till this happens and wait till that happens. And I still see those people just waiting. Um, with real estate, there as long as you're thinking about it long term, right? Think about it long term. I've never really seen a real estate investment that over time has lost money. But when people think like I'm going to buy this house and you know, they bought it at the height of the market, and then 2 years later, the market may have taken a little dip, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna take my losses and just sell it." And 8 years later, it's worth double than what it was, right? And we see that happening all the time. So, real estate, you can never go wrong. You own it. There's a lot of. Do we just have an earthquake?
Dude.
Real estate and investment, you can never go wrong. And I'm fortunate enough to have a wife that's a real estate broker, Marlene Rutenberg, Desert Properties Realtors.
So, you're telling me the only thing that can go wrong with real estate is like a stock and you sell it low. As long as
Exactly.
you can manage your emotions correctly, real estate will always end up positive for you.
That's exactly how I look at it, and I agree with exactly what you just said. Don't just be quick to jump out of that position just because that position's down. If you had the intention of buying it for some long term investment, then that's how I would look at it.
All right, Gil, you're a serial entrepreneur. What is one decision you made with business that you will never make again?
Um, our recent project, just getting into such a big build on this franchise, I probably wouldn't do that again. But I would definitely look for in the future in our future locations is something that's got a little more turnkey to it. Just because it's taken a little bit longer and a little bit more money than I would have liked to just get it off the ground. Still don't I still don't have any regrets to it. I think it's going to be huge. We're looking forward to it. It's exciting. Just the location is just something I was super excited about. But that's one thing that I would probably not do again when it comes to the build out.
Yeah, so for context for the viewer, you're opening a donut coffee slash food spot
Yeah,
and you're converting a building that wasn't previously restaurant use
correct,
into restaurant use. So what you're
correct,
telling me is you would never do that again. What you would do is find a location that's already
correct,
at least somewhat built out for restaurants.
correct. Somewhat built out for that restaurant use, and rather than taking an older building and trying to renovate it and remodel it to bring it to what it needs. So that could get a little more complicated. So that's one thing I've definitely learned and won't do again.
All right, Gil, as a serial entrepreneur, what is holding you back from becoming a better businessman?
Nothing. There's nothing that's holding me back. I would just say, you know, on a daily, just reminding myself what I'm looking to do, what my big ultimate goals are, and you know,
Okay, nothing may be holding you back, but what do you think the number one thing is that holds most entrepreneurs back?
some things that may hold many back is having the right team behind you. A lot of times we try to do everything on our own, and we can't. So trusting some of the right people and building that team to help you is super super important.
All right, Gil, from all the businesses that you've started, what is the worst financial hit that you've taken and what happened?
Oh, talk to my CPA about that. Big financial hits. I mean, you got to take some of those losses, and some of the losses are going to come with some of the wins. And again, you just at that point in time, you just got to be able to get back up, brush yourself off, and keep moving forward. I would say probably, through some, maybe some poor, could be poor real estate investments or some poor inventory that you may have purchased and realized like, man, I shouldn't have bought all this inventory. And those will get you some big hits. So just just have some strategy before you jump into it.
All right, Gil, as a serial entrepreneur, what have you sacrificed in order to become successful in business?
Oh, there's a lot of sacrifice. In fact, you sacrifice a lot of time spent away from from loved ones, and you got to be able to balance that. That's one thing that's super important that I've learned over time, and it's still an ongoing challenge. And you know, I want to say, 9, maybe 10 years ago now, or maybe more. My wife and I, we started our date night Tuesday. You've heard about it, right? Everybody knows. All our friends know. My business, our, all my business professionals know. Everybody that I know in business, they know. Oh yeah, Tuesdays date night. Tuesdays are meant for us, right? And we started that because at one point in time we were both just so busy, and we wanted to make sure that we had that one night for ourselves. But even then, sometimes that's not even enough. You got to be able to still balance that. And I I challenge myself through that even daily. It's not easy. You got to be able to break away. And, um, this morning I started my day off with being able to take my granddaughters to school. And, when my granddaughter asked me, like, Grandpa, when are you gonna come to our house again and take us to school? I knew that the real reason she wanted me to do that, it was so I could take them to go get coffee and cake box before school, which I gladly will because they can get anything they want from me. But for me, it's important to be able to do that just because I get to stop everything I'm doing, whatever I'm thinking about, and just be able to enjoy that time to pick them up, take them to school, drop them off. Even as this morning as I did that, I thought to myself how many times we say, even hear parents saying like, "Oh man, I have to take my kids to school," like versus saying like, I get to take them to school. Like it's a super privilege. So being able to just take time out and do some of those things and enjoy your family, enjoy each other. And we have so many distractions, right? Not just thinking about what the next business move is or next investment, but all the other white noise with our phones. And how do we figure out a way to take a break from that and still focus on our loved ones is super important. I think it's something that we all struggle with, and it's a challenge for all of us every day.
Yeah, so what you're describing is the lost time with your family
Yeah,
is what you've sacrificed.
correct.
So your previous business success, would you describe it as worth it?
It's always been everything has always been worth it. We've always had growth from it. I don't have any regrets. But you have to be able to still be able to put in the work. And my kids now, they're all adults, they're grown, and they remember the days where hey dad, I remember dad was come home after we're asleep, we wake up in the morning, dad's already gone. Those are some sacrifices. Those are some of the sacrifices that you do have to make. You can't, it's not going to come with just not having any of those sacrifices.
Hey guys, I hope you're getting value from this in your own entrepreneurial journeys. I want to let you know that you can be a part of a video like this as well. The application process is in the description below. So if you feel like you want to participate or you want to be on the show and get value directly for your business or your aspiring business, make sure to fill that out. All right, Gil, you've mentioned you started multiple businesses. So of all the ideas in your head, how do you know which businesses is the right idea?
You know what? You never know. You never know, and you're never gonna succeed until you actually try and fail, right? So, and you gotta have multiple ideas. I mean, I'm that guy that just has so many ideas going through my head on a daily. I might wake up with one idea and go to sleep with a completely different one. And like you said before, you just gotta at some point in time put it in motion and get it going. Don't be that guy that just says, "Oh, you know what? I thought of it at one time. I should have done that." Like just do it. And if you fail, try again.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Most people will never start a business, and it's not because they didn't have an idea or many ideas. It's just they never had the guts to do it in the first place. So
Yeah.
you're telling me You've started multiple businesses, and your best advice to them is just start it because you'll never know until you start doing it.
Just started, like you said, a lot of people think of doing it and they don't really think of that they actually can. A lot of people don't believe that they actually can. I talk to people that want to do business and think that, you know what, I need to save a bunch of money under my pillow, and eventually once I have enough saved, I can go get a my shop opened up. And it's really not the case, right? You just got to put the plan in motion and get the right team. You know, myself, I was able to get you on board, and with the right team helping you get through all those steps is just important. But it's just a matter of just doing it. And yeah, there's a couple of ideas that I've had that just didn't succeed, and those were all learning experiences. So
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
do it.
Just do it like Shia LaBeouf.
Do it! Just do it!
All right, Gil. So Painted Dough, they have an original location out here in California already. Why did you choose the franchise model? Why did you choose this specific franchise? And why is franchise better than starting your own donut shop?
That's a great question, Jordan. And when I met the owners a while back, I went out to Chino, had coffee, and I looked at it, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna be starting a franchise." And I said, "Really?" I said, "This would be a great concept in the valley." The the branding was great. It was, to me, it was Instagrammable, right? That's super important. And the biggest thing was the quality was there. And then when I met the owner, Danny, everything just aligned. Our values just aligned. Everything that he stands for, I stand for. The love, quality, and kindness. It wasn't just about the donuts. It's a plus that they're the best donuts in the world, not the city, the world. However, it was all the values that just aligned. It was a match made in heaven. And I thought, you know what? This would be great to bring to our community. So I jumped right in.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, franchises are going to put you in a box sometimes. I've seen this from other franchise owners
Yeah.
I know. And so it is actually really, really important that your goals and your vision for the business aligns.
Yeah.
Because if you have a different strategy on marketing than the franchisor, then that's going to be,
Yeah.
trouble. So very good. So why did you choose this particular franchise and not something like a McDonald's that's even more recognizable, or say like a Yogurt Land?
What really drew me to Painted Dough, like I said, is there's nothing else like it out here in our community, and I just saw sky's the limit. The possibilities are endless. And again, I can't say it more. Just the love, quality, and kindness values just really aligned with what I believe in on a daily. And so I thought it was a great concept, great movement, and we just get to spread love, quality, and kindness on all the people through our product.
So what you're telling me though, and for the viewers, that if they were going to consider starting a franchise, the most important characteristic for them is to identify in their community what it's missing, what is going to be most valuable, and not just go with the general like, well, McDonald's is huge. So do you
Yeah,
agree
I
with
mean,
that?
I would agree with that. There is some successful McDonald's. So I wouldn't say if somebody really aspires to want to open up a McDonald's, I would take a look at location, right? What kind of location are you going to be in? What's the demographic? Is it going to have some success? Because there is some people that own McDonald's franchises that do really well. Starbucks, right? I You have to look and do some of your research on Starbucks. Obviously, we've heard some of the news lately, and they're closing some shops, right? There is areas where you may not do as well. So even as we're going to continue to grow with Painted Dough, I'm constantly looking at what's another area where we can actually open up. So it's not just the company; it's also where you're going to have the most success, right?
Yeah.
Traffic, people, customers.
Yeah. This franchise business you're opening, Gil, called Painted Dough, you're the first time to ever franchise this, right? There's an
Correct.
original location, but you're the first to franchise it.
Correct.
So how does it feel to be the first to franchise it? Does it feel good, or does it feel nerve-wracking because you don't know if the franchise model is going to work?
Yes to all of the above. it feels nerve wracking. It is exciting. We constantly talk about we're somewhat, we're building the plane in the sky and we're learning. And I've already learned from some mistakes that we've made and what to do for the next. And I've, just over the last several months have learned quite a bit. And obviously it'll get easier as we continue to go on. But it's definitely been a great learning experience.
All right, Gil, you've opened multiple businesses. Have you ever had to fire someone you were close to, even a friend? And what was that like?
I have had to part ways with friends in the past, and some of them understand its business, some of them don't. It is difficult because when you have to separate business with friendship, not everybody can do it. Um, there's still till today, I do have friends that I've had to part ways with that we are super, super close. And there's some that we just stopped communicating altogether.
So would you say hiring a friend or even family, is that a mistake or most of the time?
I wouldn't say it's a mistake as long as you're hiring somebody that's the most qualified for the position and being able to separate the two, right? Because, on one side, nobody's going to really look out for your business, I feel like, as much as your friends or family should, right? They should have your back, but you should always be able to still separate the two. And
I mean, it's important to know that they need to separate it though too.
It's
So
very
even
important.
though you can, doesn't mean they can. And they're
Correct.
the ones that have to look at you at the boss. And sometimes a family member or a friend doesn't want to look at a friend and be submissive to their boss role.
Correct.
And it doesn't have to be abusive, but
Correct.
I think I would say most of the time, I don't think it makes sense to hire friends because it's just a risk that we can avoid. It's
Yeah.
possible that you have a friend that's the most qualified and it outweighs that risk,
Yeah.
but I would characterize it as a pretty big risk. So I would say it's something to avoid if possible.
Correct. Now, in most cases, you actually end up becoming friends, and those friends actually become family members that actually have worked for you or on your team. And then when that goes south, same result, right?
Yeah. Well, in that scenario, you make a friend from employing them. That's great, but the base level of that relationship had already established your seniority.
Yeah.
And I'm not the boss type that tramples over my employees or
Yeah.
anything. But it's an important mindset that
Yeah.
they need to be in, or it could potentially cause issues. So I just wanted to get your feedback on that because I know
Yeah.
you're super wise in that regard, and I honestly wanted to know myself.
Yeah, I mean, you have very valid points. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to it. And again, it's just being able to, like you said, they have to be able to separate it, and you have to be able to separate it and know that there's a possibility it may not work out.
Business is probably the second most important relationships that you have, other than your marriage.
Correct.
It's very emotional. Money is a very serious thing in people's lives, obviously.
Your
So
livelihood.
if you mess with someone's money, then they're probably going to have a pretty nasty emotional response.
Yeah, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
Gil, on that note, did you ever have a bad business partner, and how did that go, and why did it go bad?
Ooh, I've been pretty good at not having business partners. I've liked to just go in on my own, and I've usually, if they're not moving at the speed that I'm moving at, it can become complicated, and so I like to just I like to be able to just not hold myself back. So I'm not saying that I don't agree with people having partners, because I do want to have some partners and I do like to get into partnership. But for the most part, I've done it all, most of it on my own. I try to push forward with my own, with the exception of my ultimate partner, which is my wife, who's the biggest support and the biggest cheerleader, and she doesn't necessarily will hold me back on any projects. When it comes to putting contracts together or establishing LLCs or tax documents or bank accounts, I just want to be able to move quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, it's similar to hiring a family member
Mhm.
or a friend. It's a risk to hire them just because they might not respond well
Correct.
in certain scenarios. And in a business partner role, sometimes it's a risk that you guys are not going to be in agreement on something, and
Correct.
that will cause issues. Even if you have voting rights, and you
Yep.
can, they're not going to want to get trampled if they heavily disagree with you. If you're 51-49, so it's just a risk that you have to calculate when going into it.
Yeah, and you just have to make sure that it's really outlined. There's a plan outlined if one of you should have to throw the other one off the boat or off the plane, that it's protects everybody. So as long as it's outlined and it's clear for everybody's understanding, then I don't see a problem with it. But again, I just like to be able to move and not wait on anybody.
So, Gil, you've opened up multiple businesses. Tell me what the dumbest mistake you've ever made in business that costed you money.
I think the dumbest mistake I've actually made is I had a business recently, and I went out and bought a bunch of product before I actually branded it, right? Before I knew how to market it accordingly. So um, it's important to learn marketing, branding, launching. There's a lot that goes into play than just, you know what, I'm just gonna, go out there and just throw the ball and hope somebody catches it, right? Just be a little more strategical, and that's probably where I made a couple mistakes, is trying to get a business off the ground without really being strategical about it.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is it was an avoidable thing because you bought
Yeah.
inventory. What if you created the sales before you even
Correct.
received the inventory? So sometimes there's ways to avoid that. Like recently, I had someone come to me and ask me about a Christmas light business, and they said, "Well, I'm thinking about buying inflatables and things like that. And how much do you think I should buy?" I said, "I don't think you should buy anything." And they're like, "What?" And I said, go do your marketing first. Go
Yeah.
pass out your flyers, create a questionnaire, and they can mark, "Hey, I'm interested in a Santa inflatable," and then you can just go to the store. Then there's no reason to
Yeah.
take the risk of having inventory and being stuck with certain items that people don't want. Gil, you're a serial entrepreneur. Have you ever felt like quitting or walking away from your business, and what stopped you?
Every day. I mean, every day you're gonna have that guess, like, man, am I doing the right thing? Should I quit? And I always tell myself every day, there's no way I'm gonna quit. I gotta keep moving forward. You're never gonna know until you keep pushing forward. Your time is coming. You just stay faithful, loyal, and keep on building what you started, because it's not gonna happen, not necessarily gonna happen overnight. And most of the time, people just do. They just start something and they quit just prematurely. Now, you do have to recognize when to cut your loss and say, you know what, this may have really been a bad idea, and cut some of those losses. But understand that you didn't just get into the quit, and just ask yourself, when you do have those thoughts, why did I start this in the first? Right? What is my why? Why did I start this in this first place? What am I looking to accomplish? Am I still heading that direction? And if you are, keep going. If you're not, then consult with get some good advisors, get some good mentors, and ask them and get some advice. And if there's a time to cut the loss, just cut the loss, but don't just quit.
So essentially, what you're saying is, from someone that started multiple businesses, you still feel like quitting every single day, and that's just an emotion that is just going to come no matter what when you're an entrepreneur. And so you're saying you're just going to constantly have to push through that, even though with all the experience you have, you still feel that, so it never goes away.
It'll never go away. I mean, you're always going to think, am I doing the right thing? Should I quit? Should I start something else? Just you're always going to have that. You're never going to. That's the thing that's going to drive us entrepreneurs to want to keep growing, want to keep doing better, and we're our own worst critics, right? We think, man, I suck, and there's somebody out there that's just looking at what you're doing, and man, if I can even be doing what he's doing, that's success to me, right?
All right, Gil, tell me what Painted Dough is. I honestly don't have a great idea. What is it? What do you sell? Where are you opening? And when?
Jordan, we are super, super excited. We are going to be opening. We're pushing for a big date. I can't publicly announce it yet, but I can tell you it is coming very, very soon. We're actually pushing for December. We don't have a final exact date, but we are pushing for December right now. We're pushing really hard. There's a lot of movement happening. And you're going to walk into Painted Dough. You're going to get that love, quality, and kindness. I know you challenged me one time to a burrito and said, man, these burritos better knock my socks off. And then, you showed up to the next meeting and you had no socks. So I was right. Right. And, you're going to be able to, right now, we've got some amazing lattes. I'm on the big kick with our Mazzapan latte, our Abuelita cold brew. Dude, those are just so amazing. And we've got some amazing seasonal flavors that are coming out right now. We're bringing back some fan favorites, our maple apple for the holidays. And, you're just going to come in and enjoy some great flavors, great vibe, and we'll knock your socks off.
Awesome. Well, my socks are officially off. So make sure we go to Painted Dough. And my birthday's in December. So now I'm going to have a great birthday now that you hopefully are open by that time. So
December what?
15th.
December 15th. We're going to call it Jordan Donut Day, December 15th.
There we go. All right, Gil, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate everything, all your time. I know
Thanks
it's
for having me.
extremely valuable. I do have everyone sign the wall behind you that comes on to the show now. So if you don't mind, if you just get up, sign that wall.
I don't mind. I'm going to have to charge you a little bit extra, though.
Autographs are expensive.